We are back in the den. Head wrestling coach Terry Pack. Wow, what a whirlwind of a start for you guys. You came off that Midland duel, which is what we talked about the last time we were here. Then you turned right around, and it's been nonstop pretty much for you.
Yeah, I mean, the men weighed in 5 times in 7 days. We traveled all over the place. You know, we faced our first top 10 team. We faced a couple of the tougher tournaments in the country for opens. So we've seen some Division I kids. We've seen a lot of 4-year starters. And, of course, we got our hands dirty with a couple of the best JUCOs in the country. So
how do you think your wrestlers are holding up? You're facing some tough competition. It looks to me like they're holding their own.
Yeah, I mean, like our goal was to put them, I mean, for lack of better terms, you know, being in the Marine Corps and that kind of thing, you want to put them through Hell Week, right? You want to see what they're made of. And that's what we wanted to do. We put them in those scenarios time after time after time after time to see what they're made out of. We want to know if they're tough enough to be able to do this and where they're going to fit in the season and how the season is going to progress. You know, some teams do that on the back end. I feel like that's the opposite effect. I want to see it on the front end because then I know what I need to work with. You know, a lot of these teams wait till second semester and load their schedule. We decided to do it the opposite and load it in the front side. Because the first week, when these guys went over to Simpson, we wrestled all of them in the open division rather than the freshman sophomore division. Some of them took some big lumps by some D1 kids, and that's really what we wanted. We wanted them to say, "Okay, I think I'm really good, so I'm going to be there." But when you get knocked off your soapbox, you got to learn. You got to learn how to get back up. And honestly, you know, I know there's a lot of cliches about getting knocked down and getting back up, but you know, I feel like, especially in the sport of wrestling, that's something that's valuable. We got to know if these kids can take a hit and get back up and do it again and again and again. And by the time we got through to Saturday, our kids wrestled extremely well, and we had 5 or 6 guys go all the way to the end of their 6-match limit. And it was a great weekend at Grandview, which is one of the tougher tournaments in the country.
Good or bad? What are your surprises? What have those been so far?
You know, I think, without trying to throw names out, obviously, no. I think there's a couple kids that we expected to see a little bit more out of. Okay. And we haven't seen that yet. And they came in with really big accolades. So we have to get that. We have to get to that piece. And with some of our younger kids that really didn't have the accolades, they're stepping up, and they're standing out there and they're showing their moxie, and they're willing to stand there and take a punch and go toe to toe like it's a Rocky movie. And we definitely have this group of kids is starting to figure it out, and by throwing them to war right away, they get to learn.
Yeah. I noticed, and you were really proactive with a couple of your kids after their matches. You went right up to them and talked to them, and I kind of overheard you saying, "Hey, we're learning. This is a learning experience. Take it and learn." So that seems to be a theme that you keep coming back at.
Well, I think I think everything's a learned process, right? Yeah. Everything we do, like we learned to walk the first time, it's a learned process. We learned how to eat. We learned how to crawl, and that's the same thing with these guys. Even though they think because they have really good high school accolades, they got it all figured out, they're trying to figure it out. They're like, "Oh man, this is not what I was expecting." That's why we hit them with this stuff right away. Yeah. Because if we don't humble them, we are not going to be able to reinforce the right habits. Because ego can kill you. Yeah. So we have to lower the ego, make them humble, and then make them coachable. Yeah.
Seems like from the outside you're on the right track. Maybe on the inside it might not feel that way, but from where a lot of folks sit, I think they're really pretty impressed with the product that you've got going here. What's your schedule like coming out?
Well, you know, the rest of the week, we leave tomorrow morning for Rochester, another top 10 team.
Wow.
They're ranked number 11, tied for number 11. So realistically, depending on how you look at it, they could be 9, 10, whatever, in the little tie there. But they're very solid. You know, they have their 3 ranked guys that we're going to have to be able to get through for tomorrow. We have a couple guys that are banged up. They're going to have out of the lineup. That's obviously never beneficial when you're going to wrestle on a team like that. But we have to be preventive this early in the season. So we'll leave. We'll drive straight there, 7 hours. We'll compete, drive straight back.
Oh, wow.
We'll get a workout in. Then we're going to get on the bus and head to Kearney. You know, I tell people all the time, I look at junior college wrestling like single A baseball. You know, the thing that I liked about baseball is there's a progression. Very few people just go to the majors. And that's the same with wrestling, right? Very few people just go to Division I and they're starters.
Yeah.
So for us, these guys got to go through the steps. You know, they don't get the Iowa State facilities. They don't get U.S. Olympic coaches. They don't get $1 million wrestling rooms. They don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in NIL. They don't travel on big fancy buses. They don't get all of those luxuries, right?
This is the grind.
So, yeah, man, this is a single A baseball, and these guys have to earn their way up.
Yeah.
And man, baseball is one of my favorite sports because of that.
Yeah.
Because I think people really learn to appreciate when you have to start at the bottom and work your way up. And I think that's what these kids are doing, and they're starting to figure it out.
Yeah. These kids have got a pretty good coach.
Well, we got a good
You
staff.
and your staff, yeah. I mean, you guys are crushing it.
I can't do this stuff without Anthony and Jake. And
yeah. Oh, they're awesome.
And I think that sometimes people, they don't like to be in the limelight. They don't like
Obviously.
this, right?
They avoid me.
I think that sometimes people forget how important
They're huge.
those guys are to this process because they pick up a lot of workload for me.
Yeah, and the kids relate to them too. You
They
can
do.
tell. You can tell that there's a relationship there. We've got some wrestlers of the week you want to recognize. And
Yeah, you
I know
bet.
you don't like naming names, but who are we picking out this week?
Well, now at this point of the year, we're going to look at a lot of performance based. In the beginning of the year, we try to say, okay, this person worked hard this week. Let's
Yeah.
give it to somebody else next week that worked hard. But now, whether you like it or not, there comes this point in your life that performance overtakes it, right? If you're the leading car salesman, they don't give it to someone else that was second because he did
showed
really
up,
well, right? So, that's where we're at right now. And with the guys, we have a couple of kids really stepping up. Our men's wrestler of the week is going to be Caden Lamb from Valentine.
Yeah.
I think Caden brings a great work ethic to the thing. He actually was so mad at me. I pulled him out of the tournament this weekend after he had his first loss just because his knees tweaked and we need him for the long haul.
Yeah.
And he's a straight A student. He's putting in all the work, and he's a kid that deserves it.
Yeah, that's awesome, yeah.
And our female is Hasley Salgado, and Hasley is she's great. She came out last week. She works her tail off. She's very coachable. She literally wants to do her best at everything.
Yeah.
And I think those kind of intangibles are going to make her really, really great down the road.
That's awesome. Terry, keep up the good work. I know sounds like maybe you're a little under the weather today,
a little
but
bit, but
hey man, stick with it, and best of luck to you as you get ready. This is another monster road trip for you guys.
Yeah, man, this is a big weekend. I think if we wrestle well, we have a chance of going out and maybe giving Rochester a little more than they're bargaining
Okay.
for. I don't know if we can beat them, but
be competitive.
that's where we want to be.
Yeah.
And for us, that's got to be the start. And then Kearney is one of the largest, if not the largest, college tournament in the country. Over 600 wrestlers. That'll feature D1, D2, D3, NAIA starters from around the country. So we're gonna keep learning, and then we get a week off for Thanksgiving, and then we come right back and
It's
get
hard
after
to
it.
believe Thanksgiving's already really
I
kind of
know,
around the
right?
corner, but you've squeezed a lot of stuff in. You can follow this wrestling program on their social media channels. You guys are just, once again, you're crushing it on that front
Thank
too.
you, thank you.
You guys are really doing a good job. All the social media channels, they're very active on, so you can go ahead and follow them on that. Terry, thanks for your time. It's going to wrap up this edition from the Den.
Go Bobcats!